Hey guys, sorry I couldn't be with you this week, but I wanted to share something special with you. Some form of art that I find very fulfilling for me. Something that I've spent a lot of time doing, and Aubrey and I are gonna share it with you this week as we learn a little bit about this fun art form. But what I wanted to talk to you a little bit about today is the form of art that has been a lot of fun for me, and that's creating your own story or creating your own book. So people that, well, there's two main people that work on a book. There's an author and illustrator. Some books aren't illustrated, but and some books actually don't have any words too. So there's some books with one of those roles missing. But there's lots of people that will work on a book and work to make it amazing and incredible. But authors and illustrators do a lot of work to make stories that mean a lot to us. And so one thing I wanted to share with you is my experience when I created my first book. Nellybug is a book that I wrote and did some of the illustration work, not all of it. A lot of the interior illustration work was done by a professional illustrator that I worked with. Was a lot of fun working with him and helping come up with ideas. But I did a lot of work on the cover illustration, in which I would work on creating the pose for Nellybug, the main character, and what she would look like, details about her. I went through lots of different sketches and just exploring the idea of who my main character was. I wanted to know what she looked like, what she thought about, and so I did a lot of exploratory sketches, just trying to find who my character was. That kind of a role or that kind of a job as a character designer, and it was fun to, when I was creating my story, to delve into that world of character design, thinking of who the character was, what they look like, what their favorite things are, and how that incorporates in how they look. So I tried lots of different sketches to explore that. So aside from that, then I started thinking about other people in this world. What does the world look like? What are the people that inhabit this world? In creating a book that's often called world creation, where you're thinking about all of those elements that make up this complex world that your main character lives in. The ones that interact with your character and force them to, go down a chain of events that changes their life as they have to make choices and overcome odds. So, and I started doing a lot of sketches with that. And then that's honestly kind of about that point is when I started working with this professional illustrator that I reached out to, and I told him my story idea. I said, hey, here's, I'm creating this story about this little fairy named Nellybug that becomes the first tooth fairy. This is kind of the world that I've been thinking about. And he jumped back immediately, emailed me and said, I love it. This sounds like so much fun. Let's work together. And so back and forth we worked, coming up with fun ideas. He'd show me sketches and ideas, and then I would give him direction about what things fit into the world and things that we might need to adjust a little bit. All right, for the next part, I needed to fix all the words because I finished the process of writing, and it was a lot of fun and coming up with fun ideas about this world, where this character Nellybug's going to go, who she meets, and ultimately what path she goes down, the choices she makes. But then you get to the end and you're like, this doesn't read very well. So you can either go through it a lot of times yourself and edit it, or you can work with an editor, and that's somebody that's a little more professional that can look at the story and say, this, we need to fix this word, we might want to do this word a different way. And they help you clean up your story. Not necessarily clean it up from bad words. There were no bad words in my book. It was okay. But they just help you fix your words. So you choose words that read easy. That when someone comes and reads your story, it flows well and it's fun to read. So that was the next point. I worked on editing. And then kind of as the editing was winding down, I really had to work on the cover. We're not going to work on the cover this week together. That'll be next week. But just to kind of talk about that a little bit, for the cover I needed to figure out exactly what my character looks like, what they were doing in the picture. And so I worked through a lot of different ideas. And so to start that process, I did a what's called a thumbnail, which is when you work with lots of little tiny pictures. And then from that I picked my 2 favorite ones and I drew them up on a larger, this is called a mock-up. When you come up with the specifications or the dimensions for your book, so you say it's going to be about this big, here's where the spine is going to be, here's the cover of the book, well, the cover and then the back cover, and you come up with what you want it to look like. So I came up with my favorite, and then when I started putting those together, I'm like, well, this one's my favorite one. So then I started working big, and I started creating some fake or mock spreads. So I would come up with where I wanted the words, what I wanted them to look like, how I wanted my character to be, the background. Ultimately, this one had a lot of potential, but had some problems with it as well. I tried one with some more decorations on the front, which was fun, but it ended up being too busy. And that's kind of how you find out. You just try it. And then I created some that I could actually like wrap around my my editing book, my book for fixing and adding corrections. So I could see that. And ultimately, I was seeing that the colors weren't working. It was really dark. And so I worked with an artist friend of mine, and he helped me come up with a more colorful version of the book. So ultimately, that's how I got to the cover of the book that I have now. So then I came up with the spine. And then on the inside of the book, I started working on, putting the words with the pictures, figuring out exactly how I wanted everything placed, how big some pictures were going to be compared to other pages. And a big part of that was really just finding a way to make the words and the art fit together. And that's one thing that you're going to have the chance to explore is, how do I create not only a fun story, but a fun story with some fun pictures that's fun to share with other people. And that's after I finished all of those steps. I got all of that stuff together, put it together. I did, for myself, I wanted to publish the book myself instead of trying to find a company to do it for me. So I did it myself, and I found a platform called Kickstarter where I could share my book with other people and say, hey, here's this fun thing that I did. If you want one, go ahead and pre-order one and I'll get one ready for you. And a lot of people jumped on and helped back that and said, here's some of my money. I love this idea. And enough people did that I was able to print the book and send some out to people and share it. That's kind of the last step that I hope that you guys get to explore too, is not only do you get to create a fun story and create a fun book, but it's a lot of fun to share it with other people. It's so much fun to share a story, something that came from your imagination, and something that means a lot to you, and to see the reaction of other people. Some people didn't like my story, some people did. It was still fun to share it either way. So I hope you guys have a lot of fun while you're thinking of your story idea, putting it together, drawing pictures, putting fun words together. I hope you have so much fun doing that. That you get to experience that joy that I had as I was putting the book together. So anyways, I hope you have a good week.